Some places don't just remember death, they collect it. What you're about to hear is not a ghost story, it's a confession. This is what happened to me in the summer of 2019 when I walked into Aokigahara Forest and nearly didn't come back. They say it's the place where people go to die, but I swear to you, something in that forest is alive, and it waits for the broken. Rain grows louder. Cut to thunder. I had just turned 33. I was a documentary filmmaker from Seattle. I wasn't some thrill seeker. I dealt with mental health documentaries. And my next project was about Aokigahara, Japan's infamous suicide forest. I arrived in July during the peak of the rainy season. I figured it would keep tourists away and give my project the eerie silence it deserved. I checked into a small guest house in Fujikawa, Guchiko, just outside the forest. The owner, a quiet woman in her 60s, warned me, people disappear even if they don't plan to. The forest knows. I laughed. I shouldn't have. Armed with 2 cameras, a drone, a tent, GPS, and audio equipment, I entered Aokigahara from the Northwest Trail. It was raining lightly. A strange humidity clung to my skin. The first few hours were uneventful until I found a rope tied around a tree leading deeper into the forest. Standard, right? It's how people find their way back. But this rope was wet with something darker than rain. I didn't think too much about it. That night, I camped alone in a clearing. At 2:46 a.m., I was woken by footsteps around my tent. Not animal-like, human, precise, deliberate. I called out, silence. When I unzipped the tent, nothing was there, except for a trail of wet, bare footprints that led into the woods. The next day, the rain intensified. Equipment glitched. Audio recorded backward whispers. My GPS spun in circles. Midway through my hike, I saw someone. A man in a white funeral kimono, standing still between the trees. I shouted, but he didn't move. Then lightning flashed, and he was gone. Later, I reviewed my footage. In a single frame, the man stood right behind me, not visible, but reflected in my lens. I tried to leave the forest the next day, but every path led me back to that same clearing. Even my GPS started showing symbols instead of coordinates. It was like the forest had reset around me, began hallucinating, or so I thought. I saw my childhood friend Aaron, who had taken his life 10 years ago. He stood beneath the trees, soaked in rain, whispering. "Why didn't you pick up the phone?" I screamed. I ran. I tripped and smashed my drone. I found a suicide note, dry despite the storm, wedged into a tree bark. It read, "If someone reads this, tell Michael I forgive him. My name is Michael." I didn't tell anyone that before coming to Japan. I slept with the tent zipped shut, holding a knife. All night someone circled me, humming a lullaby I hadn't heard since my mom died. The storm raged. On day 4, the rain finally began to ease. A ranger found me, soaked, delirious, and running toward the wrong trailhead. He looked me dead in the eyes and whispered, "Most never make it out. Someone must still want you alive." Back at the guest house, the woman handed me a letter. She said it arrived 2 days ago. It had my name on it. No stamp. Inside was a photo of me and Aaron, age 12, and a message. "You carry too much guilt. The forest tried to take it from you. Be careful what you give up next time." It's been 5 years. I never finished the documentary. The footage corrupted itself. The drives, all dead. But I remember every second, and when it rains, I still hear footsteps. If you ever go to Aokigahara, don't just fear the forest. Fear what it reveals inside you, because some haunting come from within. Low thunder. Rain fades. Outro music slowly rises. This story was experienced by me, Michael, and I live to tell it for now. Most people go to Bhangar to get a thrill, a selfie, a ghost story to share over chai. I went there to debunk the myths. But when the rain came and the sun set, I realized Bhangar doesn't need you to believe in ghosts, because once you enter, it believes in you. My name is Rajat Mukherjee. I'm a travel vlogger and history buff. In August 2022, I planned a Myths of India series. One of the most requested spots was Bhangar Fort, a ruin in Rajasthan, long banned after sunset by the Archaeological Survey of India due to mysterious disappearances. I didn't believe in curses, but I believed in clicks. It was peak monsoon season, but that added to the drama. I reached Ajabgarh village late evening and stayed in a lodge run by an old man named Fakir Singh, who only shook his head when I told him I'd be filming inside the fort at dawn. The rains have returned. That place wakes up when it gets wet. At 5 a.m., I walked to the fort, gear in hand. Clouds hovered low. The front gate was wide open. Inside, everything looked ancient but harmless. I passed through the temples, Havalis, and the infamous Tantric's house, where legend says a black magician cursed the princess of Bhangar. Suddenly, it started raining heavily, monsoon sheets pounding the ruins. I took cover in the temple of Hanuman, setting up my camera, but the rain never stopped, for hours, and I began hearing it. Voices echoing through stone. Not one, not two, but dozens, low chanting, in a language I didn't understand. I thought it was the rain playing tricks, but then my camera battery drained, even though I had just charged it. At noon I tried to leave, but the main gate was no longer visible. There was just forest and more walls. I walked in circles, rooms repeating themselves. I marked a broken pillar with red chalk, and within 10 minutes I saw the same mark again, from the opposite side. Time distorted. My watch froze. GPS dead. Phone soaked but showed no time. Not no signal. No time. Inside the Queen's palace, I found faded footprints leading to a sealed door. Whispers grew louder. I filmed as much as I could. Then I saw someone in white walking through the corridors. A woman, hair wet, dress dragging, barefoot. I called out. She turned, no face. I lost my sense of reality. I stopped filming. I just walked. The wall started breathing, I swear. I felt a pulse in the stone beneath my feet. That night, I think it was night, the rain became silent. Like it was falling inside my mind, not around me. I entered a small chamber. My reflection stared back at me from a puddle, but it blinked before I did. There were names scratched into the stone, some in Sanskrit, some in modern Hindi, all followed by the word Bhul Gaya, forgotten. Mine was there too. I hadn't scratched it, but it was there. Rajat Mukherjee, Bhul Gaya. The voices became clear. They weren't spirits. They were memories. Each whisper a regret, a sin, a sorrow. One voice kept repeating, "Forgive me, Rani Rupmati." I didn't know it would end like this. I saw visions. The last night before the fort fell. Bloodshed, poison, betrayal. I walked into the Tantric's chamber again, this time entering a hidden door. Inside was a circular room with black stone and a single mirror wall. In it, I saw not my reflection, but every person who had disappeared in Bhangar. They stood behind me. I heard a single word. Stay. I screamed, ran, and found myself outside the fort as lightning cracked. I had exited from a completely different place, near the back cliffs. Villagers found me in mud and blood. They said no one ever comes from that side. I was missing for 4 days. My bag had floated down a stream and was found 10 kilometers away. Most of my footage was gone. One SD card had melted from inside, but one file survived. I haven't gone back. I won't. They say monsoon brings life to the desert, but in Bangar, it brings back the dead. Some walls echo because they remember, other because something is still inside them. Next time you walk through ancient ruins in the rain, ask yourself, what if something is already watching? Poveglia. It's a name Venetians say with a whisper, or not at all. A place where plague victims were burned alive, where the mad were abandoned to rot, where no one has dared to live for over a century. I went there during the summer rains, looking for silence, solitude, and truth. But on Poveglia, the dead don't stay buried, and the rain, it remembers. My name is Elena Ferraro. I'm an Italian-American academic researching mental health treatment across history. In 2023, I traveled to Venice for a sabbatical project. I'd heard legends of Poveglia Island, once a quarantine station, and later a psychiatric hospital, where patients died under suspicious conditions. I bribed an old fisherman to take me across. He refused to dock. "No one steps foot there, especially when the sky weeps," he said. "It's not just ghosts, it's what the place remembers." He left me with a walkie-talkie and an old rowboat. I reached the island just before the first drops of rain. The buildings were crumbling, vines strangling the stone. Crows perched in silence. The psychiatric ward still had rusted beds, shattered medicine cabinets, and patient files soaked in mildew. But what disturbed me most were the walls, etched with claw marks, phrases like, "Non sento il tempo," I can't feel time. As the rain began to pour, I heard it, whispers. At first I thought it was water leaking through cracks, but they began forming sentences. One phrase kept repeating, in English and Italian, "Stay with us, you know us." I lost hours, my recorder glitched. The rain wouldn't stop. I found a locked surgical wing. Inside, an operating chair, chains, and a journal. It belonged to Dr. Vittore Lagrazio, the asylum director in the 1930s, later reported missing. The journal entries were manic. He claimed he could hear the island speak through the rain, that he was performing surgeries to silence the voices. Then I heard my mother's voice echoing down the hallway. She had died 5 years ago. "Elena, don't be afraid. Come inside." I ran, but everywhere I turned, rooms rearranged themselves. The corridor I came from was now stairs leading downward. Below the surgical wing, I found a sealed tunnel, the crypt. It was dry, silent, protected from the rain. But here, the air was wrong, heavy. I couldn't move quickly. Time didn't pass normally. I found hundreds of urns. Some were broken. Inside them, melted bone, not ash. I saw shadows move without sound. One shadow took my shape, mirroring my every move. And then, the floor pulsed. The crypt had a heartbeat. I touched one urn marked EF and passed out. I woke in a shallow pit surrounded by water. The tide had come in. I was on the other side of the island. The rain was falling upwards, or it appeared to. Like time reversed around me. The buildings were no longer ruins. They were whole. I saw patients through windows, staff, nurses, and Dr. Lagrazio waving at me. "You came back. You never left." I screamed, ran, and found my rowboat somehow tethered to the dock, though I never tied it. I paddled back in silence. I returned to the mainland soaked, shaking, with only one journal entry saved from my notes. I've never published my research, never told anyone the full truth. Because when I close my eyes during storms, I still see the island, still feel the heartbeat of the crypt, still hear my mother calling from below. If you go to Poveglia, go in summer, go in daylight, but never, never when it rains.